Thank you for Patreon now for donating to the Patreon.
Hey guys, it's Vanity, Ezel back on Card Back Vanguard, Ezel and the Vanity Weekly video. So if you guys enjoy it, like, comment, subscribe, and so sorry. This time we're covering more reveals from set 13. We got the big ones. It's either the end of the set or pretty much it's almost the end of the set. So we're getting new Vairina, we're getting new Youthberk. Apparently we're getting new Nirvana tomorrow, aka at the end of this video. Whether we do or not, I don't know, but that's what I've heard personally. I don't believe it, but hey, if we get a new Nirvana, I'm not going to complain. So let's go ahead and get this started, shall we, and see what we got. First up, we have Fearful Retainer, grade 3, 200% right, 13k base, auto and placed on rearguard circle from the hand during your main phase, which is a crafty road from your soul, and you may call it to rearguard, and if you did call this, it goes 5k for the turn. Cool is not a mandatory call, but if you do, it's an 18k base for that turn, and then auto rearguard at the end of your turn by putting this unit into your, at the end of the turn, you have to put it to the bottom of the deck, mandatory skill. So it's not bad, like it's a free rearguard that bot decks itself, but at the same time, it's kind of like, it makes you lose a soul, and I don't think there's a way to search this out of deck, but I mean, it's not a horrible card. So I say it's like a 2 of or even a 3 of option. I mean, it definitely works for possible freebies with what's it called? Noctagio, because it gets you a free rearguard out, so you know you can send it right back to Soul. So it's not a bad card. Maybe 2 over 3 of, and then obviously you're gonna run 2 over 3 of Crafty Road, who is this grade 1 that I swear is like a knockoff version of that one grade 1 from Dark Irregulars. I don't remember what his name is, but if you play Dark Irregulars from V, you probably know what I'm talking about. Grade 1 boost, 5k shield, 8k base, auto when placed when put into your soul from the rearguard circle. By counterblasting 1, you can search after 1 Fearful Retainer, reveal, put it to hand, shuffle your deck. Okay, yeah, so it is meant for Noctagio, because you know you can. Well, actually, no, because this will proc off after, or like it will proc off the second it goes to Soul. But hey, it's not too bad because it can at least search out another copy as it puts itself back to deck. And you know, if you're willing to pay up 2 CB, you can search your deck for stuff. So being able to get free rear guards, or not free rear guards, but free hand cards is great, and then swap them in for more cards. So it's a pretty solid combo, and I say they're both running about 2 over 3 of. Then we have to the west and the east, Marmete, grade 2 and 5k shield, 10k base, auto rearguard. When your Vanguard's attack hits a Vanguard, by soul blasting 1, return this unit to your hand. Okay, using this thing skill was on hit on the opponent's Vanguard Soul Blast 1, so it's when your Vanguard specifically hits. So it's better than what I thought it was, because I thought it had to hit, but at the same time it's worse because now the Vanguard has to hit. So now on top of them possibly seeing crits and then blocking the Vanguard for that anyways, and the Vanguard possibly having on-hit abilities, they're also going to not let this one go through because that's a possible unkillable 5k shield back to hand. So no, it's okay for like a 1 over 2 of tech, but I wouldn't warrant it past that. And then we have Chakrabarti Dance Shengen, grade 2 Blitz Order. Play this card if you have 3 or more cards in your damage zone. When I saw the words Chakrabarti Dance, I thought it was another version of Sison, and I was like, oh my god, yes, we're getting another set order. But sadly it's not. Choose a unit being attack up plus 15k for the battle, and if your opponent's Vanguard was placed by cards ability, strength is plus 30k instead of 15. Well, that's depressing. It's another 15k power, but something I learned recently, or I guess something that someone brought up to me, is the fact that, these cards might not be meant to deal with Stride. They might be meant to deal with Masquez, which I didn't think about, but now that I think about it, yeah, they do superior ride, so it could be useful in that, but I still truly believe that these are meant to be dealing with Masquez. But something I love about this is actually a straight-up upgrade of Burn Bright Pure Prayers. That is one of my favorite orders of all time, but it not only is it the same grade, it still shows the maidens, but it keeps the same ability and adds something on top of it. So in my opinion, this order is actually a good one, simply because it's building off the concept of another order that already existed. So it's not amazing, but it's building off a concept. So if you ran Burn Bright Pure Prayer, just swap this in for it, so it's a 2 over 3 of. Then we have Wastelander Dragon, grade 3, 200% right, 15k base, and continuous, cannot be written, and cannot be normal call to rearguards without Dracochi markers on them. Continuous rearguard, it gets plus 2k for each Dracochi marker on those on your rearguards, and then continuous rearguard during your turn, it gets plus 2k power for each of your opponent's open rearguard circles. So this one's the one that can gain the least power. I think Stoicheia can gain the most, followed by Dark States, unless we swap those. I think those are the 2 that can gain the most, and the other ones are kind of tied, because they require the opponent's board to like set orders. But all around, Wastelander is a pretty good grade 3. He's my favorite in terms of art, I'll give him that, or like tied with the Stoicheia one. So it's about a 2 over 3 of. I think he's pretty decent for beat stick numbers, so there's that. And then we have Lively Streetscape Olha, grade 2 and 5k shield, 10k base, continues guard circle. If you have 3 or more grade 2 or greater rear guards, she gets plus 10k shield. So 15k shield is nice to have. There's not much more I can say about her though outside of that. So I mean, hey, if you have a bunch of grade 2 or greaters, run her as a 2 over 3 of, otherwise don't run her at all. Then we have him. I did not expect us to get a a new Dredrewd. I mean, when I saw the news of it, I was like, cool. I expected a new grade 3 though, not grade 4. That's not me saying I'm disappointed, I'm just saying I didn't expect it. True Germanic Jewel Dragon, Dredrewd Ignis. It feels so random, though, that, like, of all the cards that could get a grade 4 when, like, the nations of everyone playing Vanguard was chanting Eugene grade 4, and yet Eugene, along with Barrow, are the only... This made me realize, by the way, that Eugene and Barrow are the only 2 grade 3s out of the original 10 main grade 3s from set 1 that have yet to get an actual grade 3 upgrade, but, yeah, cool. Give it to fucking Ignis, why don't we? Anyways, grade 4 triple drive 13k base, continuous. It can only be written over by a card with Jordan's card name. So, it can only ride on top of itself, and auto Vanguard at the start of your battle phase. Choose any 2 cards from the drop zone, send them to Soul, and if you have 4 more cards with different grades in your Soul, all your front row get plus 15k power for the turn. I love how this is just a free Persona ride and then some, because it's very easy to hit 4 more different grades, and then if you wanted to yeet a grade 4 into Soul, you can. It's just like Dredrewd Masquez, except you don't get the crit, but instead you get a fucking Persona ride. And then Auto Vanguard, when paying for the cost, for this card's ability's cost, you may Soul Blast units with Dredrewd and their card names as grades 0 through 4. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that means you can Soul Blast them as any grade between those, but it doesn't count for, like, all of them. Otherwise, that would mean you only have to Soul Blast one card as long as it's a Dredrewd for all the effects, but I'm pretty sure they only count as 1 grade per. Someone tell me if I'm wrong. Anyways, so when he attacks into anything, by Soul Blasting 5 cards of different grades, retire all your opponent's back row. Until end of turn, he gets a crit, and then all your opponent's front row units, not just the Vanguard, or whatever it's attacking, have their power increase or decrease to 0. So, Persona Ride, free 2 Soul, drops everything to 0 in the front row, and the back row dies, and he has double critical. And because that's non-targeting back row, unless there's a card on the board that says it cannot be retired, it immediately dies. I cannot tell you why this is a 4 of, or like why that's just good. The only downside to this thing is the fact that you have to wait a turn, because you know you get to grade 3, then you can get to grade 4. But, yeah, that's kind of instant game unless like you pull triggers defensively, because I tell you what, being on the receiving end of that hurts, and being on the attacking end of it is very fun to do. 4 of. Then we have a Horde/Draco Kid. By the way, like with all the support they gave it, I love it when Bushy does this, when like they have a competent deck, and then they give us like a full-on upgrade, but not just like an upgrade of 1 card, like even if it's the main grade 3, they give us a whole new line of support to just swap out the whole deck, because yeah, Dredrewd went from having a CB problem to having no CB problem at all. Anyways, or at least in my opinion, Horde/Draco Kid is our next grade 1. Our grade 1 boost 5k Shield AK base, auto and placed on Rearguard Circle by counterblasting 1, check top 7 for up to 1 grade 4 Dredrewd, add it to your hand and shuffle, and if you do not add a card, you have to 1 grade 4 from your hand and reveal it, and if you reveal that card, or you have a grade 4 or greater Vanguard Dredrewd in his card name, draw a card. So, importantly to note, he can only search for a grade 4 Dredrewd, sadly not any Dredrewd, but if you add, and you can add it to hand, but if you don't add it to hand, you can reveal any grade 4, it doesn't have to be a Dredrewd, but it most likely will, and you get to draw a card if you either revealed a grade 4 of any kind, or you already had a grade 4 Dredrewd Vanguard. Either way, very solid grade 1, I like its skill, it deck is pretty much guaranteed to draw either way, so 3 to 4 of Horde/. He's pretty solid as a grade 1, and I like his art, he's so cute. Then we have Soulless Demonic Spearman Zagon, grade 2 and 5k shield, 10k base. My god, I love looking at this art. Auto when placed on Rearguard Circle during your main phase by any means. You may soul charge 1, not a mandatory. Then you can choose up to 1 grade 4 card from your hand and reveal it. Again, it doesn't have to be a Dredrewd, but it most likely will be. And if you revealed a card, or if your Vanguard is already a grade 4 grid with Dredrewd in its card name, you can choose up to 1 card with a different card name from this unit with a grade equal to or lower to your Vanguard from your soul. Call to Rearguard Circle. At the end of that turn, you put that called unit back into your soul. Here's your main targets. Rockagore, the grade 1 that stands stuff, a lot of other things. All around, a very solid grade 2. I like his skill a lot, and already he's a 4 for that, but his other skills can change rear guard. If you have Vanguard to join his card name, he gets boost. So, on top of being able to call anything, he gets boost, which in my mind isn't that useful, because the board, typically doesn't need setup, but hey, it's all around a very solid grade 1, or sorry, grade 2. So, yeah, instant 4 for this reason alone. Next up, we have Prince of Wisdom Vaipura, Grade 1 boost, 5k shield, 8k base, auto rearguard when you soul blast 4 more cards at the same time for the cost of your Vanguard's ability. By putting him into the soul, you get to draw a card. Then you get to choose to one grade 4 card from your hand and reveal it. Again, it doesn't have to be a Dradro, but it most likely will be. If you've revealed a card, or if you have a grade 4 or greater Vanguard Dradro in its card name, choose one of your rearguards, and if you have not stood by a card ability this turn, stand it. All around pretty solid because it's like another version of Imposa, and we all know Imposa is a promo, so people that complain about the promos, here you go. We got a better version of it because we get a soul charge and we get to replace it, and it's just like all around a pretty solid grade 1 because it can combo with Rocket Gore and save on CB. So I like Vampora a lot. It is an amazing grade 2. It turns Dradroid into a 5-attack deck very easily, and like it's just a perfect grade 1, like 4-up. I literally couldn't have asked for a better support card. I love this card. Then we have Soul Funeral Dragon Noctagio. So that was our last Dradro card. But before we go on, I just want to say, I love how Bushy took all these effects for the support card and were like, you can reveal any grade 4. It doesn't have to be a Dradroid for the effect. But if you did end up revealing a Dradroid, or like if you have a Dradroid Vanguard, you can still get the effect anyway. So that's what I love about it. Anyways, continuing. Noctario, grade 3 turn person on 13k base. It's Dark State Stride card. So auto when placed on rearguard or guard circle. Chip to one grade from the hand, reveal it. If you revealed a card or your Vanguards are grade 4, perform one of the following. Either counterboss one when placed on rearguard to draw a card and choose 2 cards and drop and send them to soul. So soul charges is great. Or it gets with 15k shield, and then the auto wins his card from hand by riding from a grade 3 from ride deck or paying the cost of stride, you get to draw a card. Alright, not a bad grade 3. He is definitely my favorite in terms of art, but he's kind of 50-50. But I'll welcome him as a 2 over 3 of, especially in maybe Dradro, just because if you combine him with Ignis' skill, it technically yeets 4 cards into soul in one go, which is pretty nice to have. And then we move on to our Stoicheia reveals. We have Disastrous Seas Devourer, grade 2 instead of 5k shield, 10k base. I wanted to run this card in my Griffo-Gila Stoicheia deck because but the thing is I just like did the deck profile that same day, right before this was revealed, and then I looked at the rest of his skill and I was like, I don't really want to use it because I can't even use full ability, and that is continuous rearguard. If you played in normal order, this turn gets 5k power, so 15k base. If your rearguard is placed from drop zone, this turn gets another 5k power, so 20k base, and if it attacks and if it's the 4th or more battle that turn or more, it gets plus another 5k. So it obviously works the best in either like Flagberg, because Flagberg does play, like, or at least the last time I saw Flagberg be played, it played Spiritual Body Condensation, which was a normal order that calls from drop, and since Flagberg stands units, that's an extra 5k, so that's all 3 requirements met. You could technically use this in Griff, except you're not going to hit that 4th battle or more unless you're, doing that over trigger turn. And then as for his other ability, you can use him in Zorga, but you have to run the grade 2 that calls itself, and I personally don't like running that grade 2. So I mean, if you want to, like, all around is a very good grade 2, but I don't know, in my opinion, it just doesn't work for me personally. But if you want to run it, it's a nice 2 over 3 of tech. Then we have Lividus Profounder, grade 2 instead of 5k shield, 10k base. We're getting more Griffo-Gila name support. I think literally this is the first set that we had Griffo-Gila name support because I brought it up last week, the Dragon Empire cards, and I was like, you know what? It's funny that it took all the way until we got Vartex to get Griffo-Gila name support. If I'm wrong, someone correct me. Anyways, auto and placed on rearguard circle. If you have a Vanguard Griffo-Gila in its card name, soul charge 1, it gets plus 5k for the turn. Cool. Free soul charge, 15k base. Downside is mandatory, but it's a nice card to have, so 2 over 3 of. Then we have Knight of Scattering Flowers, Arellas, grade 1 boost, 5k shield, 8k base. Again, it sucks that these cards were revealed after I did the deck profile, but I mean, I'm not going to change any of them in anyways. Auto rearguard when she boosts. If you have Vanguard Griffo-Gila in its card name, discard 1 to draw a card. I hate cards that do this. I hate cards that are like ditch 1, draw 1, unless like the deck's entire gimmick is discarding. But if the deck's entire gimmick is not discarding, I hate cards that do this. And the worst part is I love her art. So if it was just on art alone, 4 of, but honestly, I cannot, like, in good conscience give this thing more than a 2 of because I hate cards that do that. Then we have a Tide of Tail, starts with a Great Meeting Novara, grade 3 200 Persona 13k base, auto rearguard at the end of your turn. If you have a Vanguard with Peltrica in its card name, the thing that had different names, Highlander basically for Lyrica, put this unit to soul, choose up to 2 Relation Reaver Peltra from your solar drop zone, put 1 to the bottom, put the other to hand. So cool. Returns Persona Ride targets back to deck, literally bounces a Persona Ride back to your hand, and still gets you soul for it. So all around, Nuvara's a pretty good grade 3. I like her skill a lot. I think she's pretty solid. She's a nice, like, 3 of in Peltra, because, like, you're obviously going to run the 4 Peltra, and I think there's another grade 3 you want to run, and you don't want to run too many grade 3, so I think she's a solid 3 of, but hey, still a good card nonetheless. Then we have the card that has been talked about the most since a while. I made this, like, comment on, or like the reply on a comment where, like, this is the card that has brought the most quote-unquote controversy I've seen in a while. And by controversy, I mean, like, differing opinions that is so vibrant they reach my channel, because normally they don't reach my channel. I have to go searching for them, but the fact that they came to me. So anyways, Youthberk, Revolve form, full blast. I'm going to try to avoid controversy as much as I can, or like a differing opinion, and stay completely neutral on this. Grade 3, 200% 13k base. Auto, when placed on Vanguard Circle by the Revolve just ability, counterblast 1, perform all the following according to the number of different card, or according to the card names in your soul. And then if all abilities were performed below, all units in your farm will get plus 15k power. So cool, it's a free, like, Dradual. I hate that they kind of mimic Dradual for that, but at the same time, I'm like, it's kind of like, not Michiru, Raiko looking up to Michiru, so, there's that. Anyways, if you have Youthberk Evolve from Zest in the Soul, it gets a crit. Youthberk Evolve from Gust gets a drive, and Youthberk Evolve from Tempest, it decks a rear guard. And then Auto Vanguard, at the end of your turn, choose a card from your soul with the Revolve ability and ride it as rest. So, half Persona Ride, it can technically gain 201s. The thing that most people hate about this is that to get its full effect off, you have to, and as it was, like, I understand a lot of people have to change their decks a lot for it. Like, they have to stop running stuff like Wayward. Apparently, some people are thinking about changing the ride deck. Like, people have to get rid of a lot of cards. For me, I only changed quote-unquote 6 cards. I got rid of Dull Break for 3 copies of Drilling Angel, which is meant to eventually become that grade 2 we're going to get later in this video, but we don't currently have. And then I put in Full Blast by just dropping on my Revolve Justice to 2, and that really only meant I had to drop Zest by 1. I had to drop, Tempest by 1, and I already had Gus at 2 because Gus was my least favorite. I made that very clear. And then I had to just drop the Drilling Angel that I replaced Dolberg for by 1 because Dolberg was already at a 4 of. So, like, I didn't change much, and my personal playstyle accidentally already fit Full Blast. So, like, for me, this is like a really good card because, again, like, I was already basically playing with this, and its abilities like work perfectly for me. For everyone else that had played Youthberg, let's just say, quote unquote, the right way, they have to change a lot, or like, the competitive way, they had to change a lot. For me, this is like, I just got to throw in 2 cards and that's it. So it's not a bad card. For people that have to vastly change their playstyles if they want to run this, yes, it's a bad card. But for people like me that already kind of play just because they want to do a bit, yeah, it's not that bad. And, like, there are still cards that you can change your deck around to, like, turbo it out, or you could just shove it in the deck like how I shove Mahar into my Nirvana, like, one-of deck, just to have it as an option if I really want to go into it as a one-of, and every other game I do go into it, like, you can do that. Obviously, for the competitive scene, I don't think it's going to work like that. But, like, for casual scene, literally you can afford to throw it in as a one-of. And, I mean, the deck has enough searching power to where you can see it. And if you do what I do and just get to the late game, and you can just ride into it. Like, there are plenty of ways to build the deck with Full Blast, without Full Blast. Run it if you don't want to. The important thing to keep note of, you don't need the 15k for this thing to be good. You can get one of these into Soul very easily. Like, Tempest, you don't, in my opinion, unless, like, you're playing against a very, like, rearguard heavy deck, you don't need Tempest and Soul, so you can just focus on getting Gust and Zest into Soul, and then having 2 Vanguard attacks with one of them always having a crit, and then always having triple drive and maybe sequenning to get 4 drives is, because, twin drive from Skyfall and twin drive from this thing is pretty solid. So, I mean, take that as you will. There are plenty of ways to build around Full Blast. Again, a lot of people have to change their styles for this. I don't have to change my style, but, like, and that's, I guess, me, quote unquote, bragging. But, yeah, I mean, take that as you will. If you're changing your style for this, maybe it's not worth it, but take that as you will. Then we have our ban list. The only reason I'm covering this is because the last time there was a ban list change, I wanted to record. I should have put it in there because apparently no one else had the information, and I still have that message on my Discord, and I still don't know where the fuck I got that from because I cannot find where I got that from for the life of me, but I know I got it from somewhere. Anyways, and it wasn't like a false thing, and now I'm covering this just to make sure I have proof that it exists. So there's the Stir Gonna hit, there's these things hit, the Persona Ride plus Giver and this thing. And then there's Swirlers, GG, and Evas and Combines lift. So I love the Stir Gunna hit because as much as Stir Gunna is my favorite grade 3, I understand why he was hit. I remember when I when I went to go check out DF's chat afterwards, I saw like a lot of people saying they should have hit Best Harvest. So I think they were saying they should. I just saw a lot of people talking about Best Harvest, and my thought process was like, wouldn't it be better to hit Sturgunna because it's the reason why Gandiva can get the half Persona right or like the Persona right effect off and the extra crit while the opponent's at grade 3, and then literally the next day Bushiroad comes out with like a discussion of why they're doing it, and literally every reason I named word for word was on that reason why they hit Sturgunna. So I was like, yeah, that makes sense. And then like these ones, take that as you will. I don't really care about the ban list. That's just the only one I care about. And then we have our schedule for when they're uploading, or not uploading, but when they're making more cards, or their next sets. So September 29th is Boost Set 13 is coming out. This Japan's, by the way. October 13th, this is the one time they don't have a reveal on my birthday. That sucks, honestly, because I really like them revealing stuff on my birthday. But whatever. Next up, we have our November 10th Shiranui and Luar deck reveal. Oh, yeah, by the way, on October 13th, the Lyrical build. Then on to December 8th, we have our Triple Drive booster. I don't know what's going to be in it, but I'm assuming we're going to get a, like, anything that doesn't already have a, like, triple drive, we're going to get one. So this is where my hope for Eugene grade 4 comes in, and Barrow grade 4, or a version of Barrow that gets triple drive, and maybe even stride upgrades, because I feel like the stride decks are going to be kind of basic if you always have the same G units, and then we got these 3 sets over here. And then for our Bermuda set for Lyrical Monasterio 4, we actually have our Bermuda encounters, so Specifica's coming back, and then we have our 3 Prism units, and a lot of people are a little bit happy about the Prisms, because Prisms, I think, got, or, what's her name? Not Velvedere, but, I don't know why I'm blanking on her name, but she got skipped over in V, so it's nice to see her coming back, because she was actually my favorite of all the Prisms. Then move on to our units again. We have our Raid Kaiju Sky Pouncer, Great on Boost 5 Kashiot, aka base. This thing looks cool. Auto placed on rear guard, counter boss 1, soul boss 1. Choose a set order from your drop zone or face up in your damage zone. Add it to your hand. Then if you add it from your damage zone, you put the top cover deck into your damage zone face up. So cool. It doesn't countercharge you because you still have to pick up face up order, but it does allow you to add your stuff back to hand. So if you have really bad luck with your orders, this definitely helps fix it, which is great if you don't want to like change your deck build all the way. So very solid card, 3 or 4 of. Then we have Rubbish Eraser, Great on Boost, 5 Shield, AK base. Such a cool art, wasted on such a shitty skill. Auto Rearguard when it boosts, if you have 2 or more set orders, it gets plus 2k for every 2 grades your opponent's vanguards. I really wish that they just gave this thing skewed pain skill where you count based off the order's grade, and then you just use this in Griffo Gila and it's immediately an 18k booster, but whatever. Then we have Fancy Spell Tish, Great on Boost, 5 Shield, AK base, auto back or rearguard circle when your other rearguard is in combat for stands by the effect, by a card effect. If you have a Vanguard Lornell's card name, you get stand this unit. Literally until this card got revealed, I literally forgot Lornell was a deck, but being able to stand herself is great because that means you can have less stand targets for the order that stands 6 fractal and then still get the amount of stands off. So nice card, 3 to 4 of. And then we have finally our Dragon Tree. You know what's funny? 30 minutes right before this card was revealed, someone commented on the Griffo Gila deck, I hope that they make the Dragon Tree marker grade 2 soon, so we can have like a complete list for the Dragon Empire Griffo Gila deck, and lo and behold, we got this. Anyways, auto and placed on rearguard circle, counter boss 1, soul boss 1. Choose one of your rearguards with Dragon Tree markers on them, put a Dragon Tree marker on it, then search for 1 Mask of Hydreigon, reveal, put it to hand, shuffle your deck. Reagan Gimrad, grade 2 5k shield, 10k base. He's my favorite in terms of art. There's no argument on this. He's fucking beautiful. Like, I love his tail because it looks like he's holding a sword. I love his dragon art. I wish I didn't have this generic skill, but I love him, so 4 of. Then we have Raise Command Dragon, Great 2 5k shield, 10k base. Such a ferocious, great, main grade 3 looking dragon on such a iffy skill. Auto and placed on rearguard circle. If you have Vanguard Griffo Gila's card name, soul charge 1 gets plus 5k power. Cool. It self-sustained Draco Patel. That's pretty much all I can say, but hey, it's a nice card, so 2 over 3 of. Then we have Luminous Chorus Rital, Great on Boost, 5k shield, AK base, White Wings, auto rearguard at the end of your turn. If you have a Vanguard with a Celestial on its card name that was placed 2 or more times during this turn, and you have no face-up damage on card, shove to soul, counter charge 1. Cool. Get to soul, get to CC. The only downside is that means you have to ride twice this turn, once from the superior ride of Celestial, the other from normal riding her, but hey, she's all around a very solid grade 1 for CCing on soul, so 2 or 3 of it is a pretty nice number for her.
So now we have our last few reviews for today. We have a lot of things to go through. First we have Vairina's Chimera, Great on Boost, 5k shield, AK base, auto rearguard once per turn. When chosen by the ability of your Vanguard that Amethyst turns card name, you can soul charge 1 and give it plus 5,000 power. Cool. Upside, it's a free soul charge and it's a 13k base plus Amethyst skill, so it's at least an 18k base for that move. But on the downside, it's a mandatory soul charge, which as we all know, I don't really like soul charging mandatorily because it can deck you out. Either way though, Chimera is a very solid grade 1, and for those of you that apparently don't like the Capricorn, this is a nice replacement for it, but I personally like the Capricorn, so I'm probably still would have run around this anyways, but probably did 2 over 3 of. Then we have Phonograph Opera Star, Great Turn Set 5k shield, 10k base, auto when placed on rearguard circle. If you have a great 3 grade Vanguard, that one just turns card in count, plus 1 to draw a card. That is the most restrictive CB1 draw I've ever seen, and that continues rearguard during your turn. It gets plus 5k for every 2 critical triggers in your bind zone. Okay, so it definitely works out with Unica's skill to give her more numbers as she stands, or better yet, stand something else. Still give this thing numbers off of the double criticals, and then to give the other thing numbers as well as the Vanguard. So you have a full board basically getting propped off by Unica's skill. I mean, not Unica, Baiko's skill, so all around not in a bad grade too. I don't really like it over my other options, but she does definitely warrant a 2 over 3 of, just because she does end up basically making the front row Baiko. Then we have Witch of Extinguishment for Grossa, and I feel really good about this skill because everyone I saw said, oh, it gives the Vanguard 5k, and I was the only one that I've seen positively say it doesn't give the Vanguard 5k, it gives the Rearguards 5k, or itself 5k, because it never once said in the anime it gave the Vanguard 5k. Anyways, Witch of Extinguishment for Grossa, Great Tune Set 5k shield, 10k base. On when she's placed on Rearguard circle, if you have Vanguard used in its card name, you get a Soul Blast 1 to search the deck or drop zone for up to 1 Revolve form, put it to Soul, and if you search your deck, you shuffle it, and then if your soul has 3 or more different Revolve forms, Soul Blast 1 card of that Revolve form in its card name to draw a card. So, it, literally, the second you get the ability to call this, it doesn't matter when, if you actually keep your ride line, so the people that apparently were thinking about changing their ride line, keep your ride line, because this just gets you a free Revolve form to Soul, and then, you know, if you did end up having the 3 Soul Blast literally anything else, and you get a free draw, which is nice, and then auto Rearguard when your Vanguard is placed by Revolve Just ability, she gets plus 5,000 power. I was hoping that it would be like a Double Break replacement, so, you know, you wouldn't feel too bad about getting rid of Double Break, but sadly it doesn't pump up the Vanguard, but, I mean, all of them get numbers anyways, so I'm fine with giving her the 5k, so she's a nice, like, 4 of in the deck, honestly. I guess we're just dropping Snizel then, because we don't want to search the deck anymore, just add them to hand. We just want to search the deck to send them Soul, and if you do want to search one to add it to hand, that's where Corino comes in. Bard of Brave as Instrument Corino, Great on Boost, 5k shield, 8k base. On when she's discarded from your hand, or when she's placed on rearguard from deck during your turn, or discarded from the hand during your turn. So basically, play her by Youth. If you have a Vanguard Youth in his card name, search the deck or drop some for up to 1 Revolve form card, reveal it, put it to your hand, and if you search your deck, you shuffle it. And if you put a card to your hand, choose a card from hand, put it to Soul. Cool. So again, we can add more Revolve forms to hand, and you know, send them to Soul from anywhere, which is nice. The only thing I hate about her is she has to be placed specifically from deck, or she has to be dropped from hand during the turn. So on the bright side, if you drop it from hand, that can be for ride deck, that can be for Gust skill, it can be for any discard skill, and not just during any specific point. But at the same time, like, for the, like, on-plays rear guard, it has to be from deck, and I hate that. But either way, though, she's a very solid grade 1. She's nice to have at least a 3 or 4 of, and I'm kind of tempted to get rid of Schnazzle now just to keep Drilling Angel for searching, or more soul charging, but I don't really know about that. Either way, good card, 3 or 4 of. Then we have my kind of regrets, because I wish that they kept a secret until Yu fought in the anime, because these are cards that just feel like they don't make sense dropping before the anime. First up, we have Blazing Heavenly Break Equipped Dragon Cal Modak, Grade 1 Boost, 5k Shield, 8k Base, Continuous, all these cards auto addresses get auto rear guard, 1 in attacks, choose one of your opponent's vanguards and it gets plus 2k to the battle for each grade of that unit. So, it's not amazing, but I mean, it gives them numbers as they swing and it makes it better against Griff, so cool, I guess, as a 2 of tech. And you know, something I'm realizing as we go through these cards, they go common, rare, the next one's a double, and the next one's a triple. Which is just funny to me that they went literally up in rarity, 1 by 1. Anyways, next up we have Blazing Heavenly Spearhead Equipped Dragon, Nadeka, Great Turn Set 5k Shield, 10k Base. Auto when it becomes an original dress, Soul Boss 1, choose one of these cards auto dresses, and it gets continuous rear guard during the battle of this unit attacked. When your opponent will call cards from guard, circle them, call 2 or more at the same time on turn. So it just gives whatever crossover dresses into this Garo skill, which kind of makes me feel like Garo is useless now, but to be fair, considering what Straw does, yeah, it is kind of useless. You see, the thing is, I was tempted to build a deck before that was just 1 crossover dress and 1, and just the rest of them being prayer dragons, and I didn't think that would work, and then Straw comes into existence and brings 4 prayer dragons with him. So This is an entirely new deck of its own, so now I have 4 Nirvana decks. The overdress one, the one that has overdress and crossover dress, the crossover dress one that has all crossover dresses, and then the one I'm about to build from just the support of today. But cool, not a bad card. It's an okayish 2 of an any deck that isn't focused on Stra, but in the deck focused on Stra, 3 over 4 of. Then we have a card that I'm honestly tempted just to start replacing my prayer dragons in all my deck with, and that is Blazingly Heavenly / Equip Dragon Daharas. Great on boost, 5k shield, 8k base, auto and post on rearguard circle. If you have Vanguard, Nirvana, and its card name, by card blasting 1 and killing any other rearguard, search the deck or drop zone for up to a total of 2 cards with Blazing Heavily and their different card names. Call into rearguard circle as rest, and if you search your deck, you shuffle it, and if you retire a rearguard in the crossover state, draw a card. Now, here's the important thing to note. Doesn't have to be placed from hand, so it can proc off from Jiva, and it doesn't have to not call itself. Basically, use Jiva skill, or just normal call this thing after you call into the rearguard, CB1, kill a rearguard, call 2 more, make sure one of them is this thing, Chiron Blast 1, kill the other one, call 2 more, and then crossover dress, then use Jiva skill to ditch your Trickstar, call this thing and the Trickstar from the drop zone, play this one skill again, it eats up your CB but it makes you a board. And considering what Straw does, yeah, you're gonna want this. 4 of in Straw decks. If you don't run any Blazing Heavily dragons, it's automatically a 0 unless like you run a small amount, like 3 of them outside of this one, but it's kind of 50-50 if you don't, so yeah, either all in or don't. Then we have Blazing Heavenly Render Crypt Dragon, RPG, Grade 2 step 5k shield, 10k base, auto and placed on rearguard from other than from the deck, so from hand or from Jiva skill, Soul Blast 1 and ditch 1 to search your deck for any prayer dragon, call it to rearguard and shuffle the deck. Cool, look who this thing calls. And then auto when plea comes in original dress, draw a card, choose one of these cards out of dress the units, and until end of turn it gets until the end of your opponent's next turn, it cannot be chosen by your opponent's card effects. They straight up listened to every complaint Jiva players had about like the deck being a hard minus, so what do? They give us a bunch of cards that can make fucking rear guards that can consistently just do this without like little to no cost. 4 of, 2 of, /3 of, 2 of, /3 of. And finally we have this mofo, who I'm kind of disappointed in and kind of not, and that is Blazing Holy Sword Equipped Straw Vairina. I am disappointed they revealed this before the anime because this thing is literally an anime card in every sense of the phrase, but whatever. Grade 3 200% right, 13k base, crossover dress with 1 Trickstar, and any 2 or more prayer dragons with different card names. So, basically, this is, at least you need 3 cards, but if you want to use more than 2 prayer dragons, which you're going to want to, they all have to have different card names. Thankfully, these 2 make your job hella easy. Anyways, has 2 abilities, continues from a rearguard circle. During your turn, if he's in the crossover dress state at all, he gets plus 10k power, and all your vanguards with Nirvana in their card name get triple drive and are 10k bait and get another 10k power. So all of them are 23, and they all have triple drive. So Jiva becomes a grade 4. So all of you that complaining about Jiva not being as good as Mahar, well, there you go. And then auto rearguard, when this unit in the crossover dress state stands by your vanguard's ability, not a hard once per turn, so if you pull the over, good luck to your opponent. If the opponent is a grade 3 or greater, by a counterblasting 1, you can stand all your talisman or prayer dragon rearguards, and if this unit has 5 or more original dresses, remove all of your opponent's rearguard markers, and retire all their rearguards. Fuck Draco Tree. Fuck anything that has like non-targeting effects or has specific targeting and can't be removed, and literally stands your entire board. They literally just took Griff skill and turned it against it. And then the best part is, while this is restricted to being the opponent at grade 3, this part you just get if it's in the crossover dress state in general, and this doesn't matter if the opponent's at grade 3. I have an entirely new deck to build because I cannot fit this thing consistently in my current Jiva deck. I'm gonna hate this, but I'm gonna love this card so much. 4 of, that's it for the reveals today. I hope you guys enjoyed. I questioned Bushy's logic sense making, but this thing is broken. So, yeah, I'll see you on the next one, and I have a lot of videos to film, and I have a lot of sleep to lose. So don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, don't forget to follow Twitch, and don't forget to stand up to the Vanguard.